When people think about terrifying prehistoric creatures, they usually picture dinosaurs, which, I get that. They were pretty bone-chilling creatures. There was the T-Rex with a bite force that could crush bones, and there was the Stegosaurus, which could impale you with its thagomizer. But I think there were creatures even more horrific and dangerous than that. Creatures that inhabited the most mysterious and unknown place on Earth, the ocean. Just in the modern day, the ocean is home to many deadly creatures, like the box jellyfish, the killer whale, and the great white shark. So just think about how wild the prehistoric ocean goers must have been. The first ocean monster we'll be talking about is a well-known prehistoric shark, the Otodus megalodon, more commonly known as just the megalodon. This was the largest shark of all time, with maximum estimates being 82 feet, but was most likely on average about 60 feet. And contrary to popular belief, the megalodon did not live with the dinosaurs, rather it lived 43 million years after their extinction. The megalodon was originally classified in the family Lamnidae, like the great white shark, but now we know that it was part of the Otodontidae family, along with all other species of Otodus and 6 other genera. Megalodon means big tooth because of its teeth, which were the main fossil evidence of the Otodus megalodon, and because of its massive teeth that can be about the size of a human hand. The megalodon wasn't alone in the Cenozoic oceans, though. It was most likely that it would have competed with a prehistoric whale called Leviathan melvillei. This was a prehistoric species of macroraptorial sperm whale that was named after the mythical sea creature, the Leviathan, and the author of Moby Dick, Herman Melville. The Leviathan lived from around 10 to 5 million years ago and had some of the most massive teeth ever, getting up to 1.2 feet long. The Leviathan's large teeth mean that it most likely would have hunted large creatures, which even means that it could have hunted juvenile and male megalodons, as male sharks were significantly smaller than the females. The Leviathan would most likely have used echolocation for hunting prey, and using its spermaceti and its melon organs to amplify its sounds. The main specimen of the Leviathan melvillei is the holotype, which includes its massive skull. People might think that the megalodon would be more dominant than Leviathan, but during the modern day, the odontocetids are a lot more dominant over the Selachomorpha. The group Cetacea, which includes whales and their relatives, had a very odd evolution, starting off as land creatures and evolving into psychopath shark killers and the largest mammal ever. One of the oddest groups in Cetacea was the Basilosauridae. The main creature of this group is pretty obviously the Basilosaurus, which means king lizard. This name probably was in reference to it being one of the first massive cetaceans when it lived during the Eocene epoch, 41 to 33 million years ago. There's 2 species within the genus Basilosaurus, which are Basilosaurus cetoides, which is the largest species and the species of the holotype, and the Basilosaurus isis, which was smaller and discovered in an entirely different continent. The B. cetoides was discovered in the US, and the B. isis was discovered in Egypt. The Basilosaurus looks far from a modern whale, sporting a look more like a mosasaur with a streamlined body and long snout. B. cetoides could get up to 66 feet long, while the smaller B. isis could get up to about 59 feet long. Both of them weighed around 7 tons and dominated the Eocene seas. The biggest fish ever was the Leeds ichthys. This massive fish means Leeds fish, after the person who discovered the Leeds ichthys, Alfred Nicholson Leeds. Leeds discovered this creature in Peterborough, England, and several years later, in 1889, the species Leeds ichthys problematicus was described. For a short period of time, it was thought that there was a second species, Leeds ichthys nautocetes, but is now considered invalid as there are virtually no differences between the two. The Leeds ichthys diet most likely consisted of plankton, as it had small needle-like teeth, which are usually used by animals that have a diet of small fish and or plankton. The largest size that these fish could have gotten to is 54 feet long, which is very concerningly close to the size of a mosasaurus, though the ichthys sizes have varied a lot over the years. The first impression was that they could have gotten up to 33 feet long, and then a drastic jump happened where they somehow estimated a size of 91 feet long, and then after lots of debate, they got to our current size estimates of 54 feet. One of the most famous prehistoric marine reptiles is the plesiosaurus, most people referring to it as the long neck of the sea. But I'm going to talk about a different plesiosaurid, a much larger one, the Elasmosaurus. This creature lived during the late Cretaceous, around 80 million years ago, in North America. It had interlocking, fang-like teeth, practically designed for catching fish, which was the majority of its diet. Speaking of the majority, a shocking fact about this creature is that the majority of its body length is made up of its neck. The Elasmosaurus could get up to 34 feet long and weighed 2.2 tons, which is smaller than dinosaurs such as the Allosaurus and Torvosaurus, but is still very large. There's one species of Elasmosaurus, the Elasmosaurus platyurus, and its name means the thin plate lizard. The Elasmosaurus is a plesiosaur, which means it's a sauropterygian, along with creatures like the Nothosaurus, which share similar characteristics. The Plesiosauria group is mainly depicted as the long necks of the sea, and that is partially true, but some plesiosaurs did not have long necks, such as the Pliosaurus. The Pliosaurus lived in Europe and South America around 156 to 147 million years ago during the late Jurassic. There were several species of Pliosaurus, such as P. brachydires, Carpenter, fungi, Cavani, Rossicus, and Westburiensis. The type species is P. brachydires, but the most famous one is the P. fungi, which is colloquially referred to as Predator X. When Pliosaurus was first described by Richard Owen, it was put under the Plesiosaurus genus. Later, this was obviously reclassified to its own species, Pliosaurus brachydires. This creature was 33 feet long and weighed 5.5 tons, as well as having a name that means more lizard. Pliosaurus's skull could get up to 5 to 6 feet long. It used these massive jaws to catch fish, cephalopods, and even other marine reptiles. Mosasauridae was a group of giant extinct marine lizards that ruled the Cretaceous seas. Within Mosasauridae, two of the main creatures are the Tylosaurus and the Mosasaurus. The Tylosaurus contains many different species, including... Yeah, this is editing, so up, I am not saying all of the names of these species, because there's way too many species. Like, seriously, Tylosaurus, can you just not be such a divergent evolver? The Tylosaurus lived in North America, Europe, and Africa. This was a slim, streamlined lizard with a long snout. The Tylosaurus's largest species could have reached 46 feet long, only a bit shorter than the largest T-Rex. There was a prehistoric sea lizard that was larger than the T-Rex, the Mosasaurus, specifically the Mosasaurus hoffmanni. There are 5 species in total, but the main one I'm going to talk about is Mosasaurus hoffmanni. Mosasaurus means most river lizard, and the lizard part is actually accurate. The Mosasaurus could have gotten up to 56 feet long and was much bulkier than the Tylosaurus. The Mosasaurus would have been an opportunist, most large marine creatures. The reason for this is because of the size. It would need to eat as much as it could. This means that it could not be picky. Ichthyosaurs dominated the Triassic and Jurassic oceans. When people think of ichthyosaurs, they typically picture the Ichthyosaurus, which is relatively small. But ichthyosaurs could, in fact, get much, much larger. One of the largest ichthyosaurs is a Shastasaurus. The Shastasaurus has been discovered in North America and possibly China, which should give you an idea of the dominance of these creatures at the time. The name Shastasaurus means Mount Shasta lizard, in reference to the Mount Shasta in California. The Shastasaurus had a toothless mouth and a short snout compared to other ichthyosaurs, and because of this, people have theorized that they may have been suction feeders. But later, they found out that Shastasaurus's tongue bones were not suited for this lifestyle. The Shastasaurus' diet would consist of lots of cephalopods, but because of its large size, the possibility of it being an opportunist isn't that far-fetched. There are most likely two species of Shastasaurus, the smaller S. pacificus and the much greater S. echinensis. Shastasaurus pacificus was around 23 feet long and hails from northern California. The Shastasaurus echinensis, though, is a very controversial species of Shastasaurus, as it might be another genus of ichthyosaur, the Shonisaurus, but no matter the genus it lies under, the S. echinensis was a massive creature. This titanic ichthyosaur could get up to 70 feet long and weigh about 90 tons, and it is from British Columbia, Canada. There is a possible third species of Shastasaurus called S. liangei, but it's most likely it was its own genus, Guanlingsaurus. The Shastasaurus wasn't the largest ichthyosaur of the Triassic, though. The Ichthyotitan severnensis. This was a species of Shastasaurid ichthyosaur described earlier this year. A massive syringular bone, which is a jawbone, that belonged to an ichthyosaur was uncovered in 2016 and was dubbed the Lilstock specimen. This bone was a yard long, and comparing the specimen to other Shastasaurids, this creature could have gotten up to 85 feet in length. In 2020, near where the Lilstock specimen was found, the blue anchor specimen was unearthed. This was another ichthyosaur syringular that was about the same size as the Lilstock specimen. The blue anchor specimen was the holotype of the Ichthyotitan severnensis, a massive ichthyosaur that roamed the depths of Triassic England. The Ichthyotitan is known to have lived from 205 to 202 million years ago. This means that the Shastasaurids were so dominant that they could only be wiped out by a mass extinction. The Ichthyotitan seems like it was the largest ichthyosaur and marine reptile in general, but what if I told you that there was a creature that not only holds the title of the largest marine reptile, but the largest creature to ever exist on Earth, surpassing the blue whale? And what if I told you that we've had the fossil material for this animal for over 1.5 centuries? This creature is the Ost colossus. In 1850, 4 massive bones were uncovered at Ostcliff in the United Kingdom. They were written off as stegosaur or sauropod bones. Since the discovery, 2 of the bones have gone missing or been destroyed, but one of the remaining ones was revisited after the discovery of the Ichthyotitan, and it was found to be a giant ichthyosaur syringular yet again. The remains for this creature are extremely fragmentary and are not enough to describe a whole new species, so the nickname for this giant is the Ost colossus. Size estimates for this animal at the maximum are 108 feet long. And since we barely find the largest of the species in the fossil record, this means that during the Triassic, sometime, somewhere, the largest creature to ever exist on Earth was lurking in the depths of our oceans.